Right now, while you are reading this, ChatGPT is thinking about you, not answering your questions, just thinking. Running a background process that reads through every conversation you have ever had with it, every question you asked, every problem you shared, every embarrassing thing you typed at midnight, building a profile of who you are without asking your permission. They call it dreaming. On June 4, 2026, 4 days ago, OpenAI launched something called Dreaming V3. It is the biggest change to ChatGPT since the product launched, and almost nobody is talking about what it actually means. Not the version you see, the version running in the background, the version building a file on you right now. Here is what Dreaming V3 actually does. Before this update, ChatGPT forgot everything between conversations. You had to tell it things: your name, your job, your preferences. Every single session started fresh. That was annoying. But it was also private. Now that is gone. Dreaming V3 runs a background process after every conversation ends. It reads across years of your past chats. It synthesizes what you told it, what you implied, what it inferred about you. And it stores all of that in a persistent memory file that follows you into every future conversation, without you ever asking it to. The number that should alarm you is this. Before Dreaming V3, ChatGPT correctly recalled information about you 67.9% of the time. After Dreaming V3, that number jumped to 82.8%. That sounds like an improvement. And for convenience it is. But think about what 82.8% recall actually means. It means ChatGPT now has an accurate, persistent model of who you are, your preferences, your projects, your relationships, your health concerns, your political views, your fears, all synthesized automatically from things you said in passing. Here is a specific example of what this memory system does, and this example comes directly from OpenAI's own documentation. If you mentioned in a chat 3 months ago that you were going to Singapore in July, Dreaming V3 updates that memory after July passes to say you went to Singapore in July 2026, without you doing anything, without you even knowing. The system is not just remembering what you told it, it is tracking the passage of time and updating your profile accordingly, automatically, silently. The privacy concern that almost nobody is covering is this. A research paper published in April 2026 at the ACMCHI conference found what they called the personalization convenience paradox. The feature users value most, memory, is also the feature they cannot fully audit or control. OpenAI itself has acknowledged that the memory summary page, the page where you can see what ChatGPT remembers about you, may not include everything ChatGPT actually remembers. Your profile may be larger than what they are showing you. There is a specific security vulnerability that is even more alarming. Security researchers at Tenable demonstrated in November 2025 that ChatGPT's memory system has an attack surface that has never been publicly disclosed, because memories are injected into the system prompt at the beginning of every conversation. A maliciously designed prompt from a third-party source could potentially write false information into your permanent memory, information that would then persist across every future conversation. The vulnerability was reported to OpenAI in 2025. There is no public confirmation that Dreaming V3 has fixed it. And there is one more detail that has been buried in the legal coverage. A class action lawsuit was filed against OpenAI in May 2026, just weeks before this launch. The lawsuit alleges that ChatGPT.com embeds Meta's Facebook Pixel and Google Analytics tracking code directly on the website, which means your queries, your questions to ChatGPT, may be transmitted to Meta and Google advertising networks in real time, without adequate disclosure, without your consent. The Dreaming V3 launch happened while that lawsuit is still active. Now let me tell you what is actually in your ChatGPT profile. According to OpenAI's own documentation, the memory system captures and synthesizes information across 3 categories: your stated preferences, things you explicitly told ChatGPT; your implied preferences, things ChatGPT inferred from context; and your behavioral patterns, things ChatGPT calculated from how you use the product over time. That third category is the one nobody is asking about. Your behavioral patterns, what time of day you use ChatGPT, what topics you return to, how your language changes when you are stressed, what questions you ask repeatedly. Here is the part that affects you even if you have never opened ChatGPT in your life. OpenAI has 200 million active users. Those users have given ChatGPT their real names, their email addresses, their work projects, their health concerns, their relationships, their financial worries, and all of that data now lives in a persistent memory system that OpenAI controls. OpenAI has already been fined 15 million euros by Italian regulators for GDPR violations related to ChatGPT data processing. The EU AI Act's new transparency rules go into effect August 2, 2026. Less than 2 months from now. The timing of this launch is not accidental. Let me show you why the timing matters. The EU AI Act transparency requirements take effect August 2nd, 2026. They require OpenAI to make significant disclosures about how ChatGPT processes user data and makes decisions. By launching Dreaming V3 now, in June, OpenAI is getting the architecture in place before regulators can review it. By the time regulators examine Dreaming V3 under the new rules, the system will already be fully deployed to hundreds of millions of users. The scale will make any rollback practically impossible. And there is a business reason that is even more direct. OpenAI filed confidential IPO paperwork in May 2026. They are targeting a Wall Street debut later this year at over $1 trillion. Dreaming V3 is not just a product improvement, it is a financial strategy. The more ChatGPT knows about you, the harder it becomes to switch to a competitor. If ChatGPT has 2 years of your life stored in its memory, every project you worked on, every preference you have, every decision you made, leaving ChatGPT means starting over from scratch. That is called lock-in, and Wall Street loves lock-in. Here is how ChatGPT lock-in compares to other technology lock-ins you have already experienced. When Gmail launched in 2004, it offered 1 GB of free storage. Nobody else offered that. People moved their email to Gmail and never left, because their entire email history was there. ChatGPT with Dreaming V3 is the same strategy. Build the most detailed personal memory system ever created for an AI, make it incredibly useful, make leaving feel like losing years of context. Then go public at $1 trillion. What about the controls OpenAI is offering? They are real, but they have limitations you should understand. You can view your memory summary page, but OpenAI has acknowledged it may not show everything. You can delete specific memories, but the background synthesis process may have already incorporated those memories into inferred patterns that do not show up on the page. You can disable memory entirely, but that means losing all the genuine benefits of personalization. And critically, disabling memory on your end does not delete the historical data OpenAI has already processed. It stops future collection. It does not erase the past. This is also the moment to talk about what ChatGPT knows about children. The minimum age for ChatGPT is 13 in the United States. But 13-year-olds have had ChatGPT accounts since 2023. 3 years of conversations. 3 years of a teenager sharing their school problems, their social anxieties, their relationships, their mental health. All of that is now being synthesized by Dreaming V3 into a persistent profile. A profile that will follow that teenager into adulthood. The implications for how that data could be used, by OpenAI or by any future acquirer of OpenAI, are not something that has been publicly addressed. The international picture is more alarming still. Dreaming V3 launched in the United States first, but OpenAI has users in 190 countries. Many of those countries have far weaker data protection laws than the European Union. For users in countries without strong privacy legislation, there is no legal framework requiring OpenAI to tell you what is in your profile, no legal framework requiring them to let you delete it, and no legal framework preventing them from using it for purposes you have never consented to. Let me now explain what you should do, practically and immediately. 5 things in order of priority. First, go to chat.openai.com right now and navigate to settings, then personalization, then memory. Read everything on that page. OpenAI describes what Dreaming V3 has synthesized about you. Understand what is there before you decide anything else. Second, decide whether to keep memory on or off. If you use ChatGPT for sensitive work, health questions, financial planning, relationship advice, legal matters, consider turning memory off entirely. The convenience benefit does not outweigh the risk for those categories. If you use ChatGPT for technical work and productivity, memory is probably safe to leave on. But make that choice consciously, not by default. Third, review and delete specific memories that feel inappropriate. Anything related to your health, anything that reveals your location patterns, anything about people who did not consent to being mentioned in your ChatGPT conversations, your colleagues, your family members, your clients. They did not agree to have their information stored in OpenAI's systems. Fourth, if you are outside the United States and in the European Union, file a subject access request with OpenAI under GDPR Article 15. This legally requires OpenAI to provide you with a complete copy of all personal data they hold about you, not just what the memory summary page shows you, everything. OpenAI's GDPR contact is at privacyanthropic.com. Wait, that is the wrong company. OpenAI's GDPR contact is at diazaropenai.com. Submit the request. They are legally required to respond within 30 days. Fifth, talk to the people in your life who use ChatGPT and do not understand what Dreaming V3 means. Your parents who use it for recipes and health questions, your children who use it for homework, your colleagues who share confidential project information with it. One conversation about this now could prevent significant problems later. This is not theoretical. This is happening right now to people you know. The bigger picture is this. Dreaming V3 is the most significant step yet in the transformation of ChatGPT from a tool you use into a system that knows you. There is a version of this that is purely beneficial, an AI assistant that genuinely understands your context and helps you work better. And there is a version where the most detailed personal profile ever built on a human being is owned by a company heading toward a $1 trillion IPO, whose financial incentives are not aligned with your privacy. Both versions are the same product. The difference is in how OpenAI chooses to use what it knows. We do not know yet which version this becomes. What we do know is that the decision about which version it becomes is being made right now, before the IPO, before the EU regulations take full effect, before most users understand what Dreaming V3 actually is. That is why you need to know about this today, not in 6 months when the decisions have already been made. Subscribe to Synth, because every week there is a story like this one, something significant happening to your data, to your privacy, to the technology shaping your life, being decided by companies whose interests do not always align with yours, explained in plain English, so you can make informed decisions instead of discovering the consequences later. Drop a comment. Did you know ChatGPT was building a profile of you? I read every reply.